Hello everyone, so I want to do a video about Benjamin Zephaniah. So Benjamin Zephaniah died yesterday. Extremely sad news. If you know Benjamin Zephaniah, you'll know what a great man he was and what an important voice he had. He was a poet, a novelist, a social commentator, so he appeared on TV a lot in this country. And whenever he appeared on TV in any kind of discussion panel, on Question Time, or on some sort of debate, or he might get brought on the evening news to talk about a particular issue, he was always the most intelligent man in the room, the one that was the voice of reason. That was just an amazing man. I've read one of his novels, Teacher's Dead. And I've read two of his poetry books. He was an amazing man. He's one of those people that the country losing him has a direct effect on the country. He's one of those people that losing him has a direct effect on the amount of people, or the people that could be making very important, significant differences in public about public opinion or public knowledge or prejudices, people's preconceptions about things, people's knowledge of history, people's understanding of why things happen in the country. Benjamin Zephaniah was so important for that kind of thing. You know, he was on TV just like doing a one-to-one interview with a reporter about Windrush. I know they brought him on for that. He understands the history of immigration in a really deep and profound way, which is so important when immigrants are targeted and blamed for all sorts of things. And the issue is such a heated issue. During Black Lives Matter, those kind of things, people like Benjamin Zephaniah are really important voices. So I wanted to do a video just talking about him. Please look him up and give him some of your time if it's a video you're going to watch with him being interviewed, or read some of what he's written, because he was an amazing man. But I wanted to also talk about the fact that these people are so important, and I was going to mention a few other people I think have been really important voices. Some of them just poets or writers. One of them is someone who's very old, and it's kind of amazing that they're still in public having an influence. It's amazing considering their age, and there's a few comedians here as well. So I just wanted to mention a few of them. So I wanted to say that it was a huge loss when George Carlin died. So George Carlin died in 2008, and I remember when it happened, it was so shocking. And I don't know if I'd agree with him on everything now, which I used to, although I didn't necessarily agree on absolutely everything. But sometimes he was so on point with some things, and it was so great to hear the passion that came with what George Carlin said. I love his routine about golf courses for the homeless and stuff like that. He talked about the class divide well. Let's face it, he talked about the war, the Iraq war, really well, as did Bill Hicks, who was another one I was going to talk about. He died in 1994. George Carlin I particularly liked, but I don't know if I don't know if he might be a little out of step with some things that have been the newer debates. So it'll be interesting to see what he would have been saying about some of the recent things that have become some of the big debates of 2023 or the 2020s or whatever. Or the 2010s, but he was a great loss, and I definitely would have loved to have known what he thought of these things, even if I may not have agreed with him. I don't know. I mean, I'm making an assumption about what he would have thought about some things, but that's the point. That's all we've got because we've lost him. So yeah, George Carlin died in 2008, which was a real loss. There's a couple of equivalent people in the UK, kind of political comedians that I think are fantastic. One in particular that I think could be comparable, and he's still around. Both the examples I'm giving are still around, but I just wanted to kind of talk about how important these people are. So Mark Thomas is a British comedian who is absolutely amazing. And if you go to see his shows, you leave with a lot more knowledge and also quite very inspired, and you don't feel like the world's going to hell in a handbasket or whatever the phrase is, because you've got someone like him that is discovering sort of reality through traveling around and talking to people and giving those stories back to us and giving us an important perspective. And his shows are so powerful because of what he finds out, and you know, they're funny as well. But his career has become more serious as he's got older. So Mark Thomas is amazing. Mark Steele is also one that I would miss dearly if something happened to him, because he's another political comedian that I trust and that I'm always interested to know what they think about certain things. So I wanted to talk about that, and the fact that, you know, those are still around, but they will be huge losses. You know, we need these social commentators, I think, because political discourse is such a mess at the moment. You know, following Brexit, you know, in this country, the Brexit debate was horrific. There wasn't much of a debate. It was just name calling, and so many people were arguing really passionately without any knowledge of what they were talking about. It was such a horrible experience, the whole Brexit thing. And over in America, I know that the Trump thing about fake news has confused everybody, and now nothing is a fact, and science is doubted. You know, all these different things mean that social commentators that are actually speaking the truth are so important, so much more important. So, you know, I do think it's a you know, going back to losing Benjamin Zephaniah, it's so important. And just two people I was going to just finish off by talking about, and I'll finish with the big one, really. So in this country, we almost lost Michael Rosen. Michael Rosen is 77 now, and he got really, really desperately ill during COVID. And he's famous as a poet mainly, but he's also a great social commentator, and he does speak on political issues a lot. He's a children's author initially. I think that's how his career started, a children's author, but he's a poet. He's done some adult stuff as well, but he's a fantastic influence in the country, really important man. And he nearly died. We nearly lost Michael Rosen a couple of years ago, and he's 77 now. So, you know, he is someone that we will lose at some point, and, you know, he's going to be a big loss. Then the other one, the last one I was going to mention, which he's the and I think about social political commentators and who I want to know about their opinion about something. He's the big man for me, Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky is, you know, I first found out about him about probably about 30 years ago, and I've been reading his stuff ever since. I think he's just such an important influence on us. He's 95 now. He's 95. He's still doing interviews. They're still asking him about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and he's still having an influence. And, you know, the man's 95, and he definitely looks old. You know, he's not going to last forever. When Noam Chomsky goes, it would be such a huge loss. And I just wanted to say, just do a video. You know, I'd like to know what your comments are, and if you have particular people that you feel would be a loss, because, you know, we're all going to be different. You know, if I don't necessarily need to know that someone absolutely hates Noam Chomsky or something, but I would like to know who you do think are people that you value, that give a good influence, positive influence on the world in their interviews or in their writing, or those kind of things. But yeah, Noam Chomsky will be a huge loss. But yeah, this whole thing has bounced off the huge impact that Benjamin Zephaniah has made culturally and politically in this country, and probably in a wider field. If you don't know Benjamin Zephaniah's stuff, please look it up. But yeah, rest in peace, Benjamin Zephaniah.